Hey guys, welcome to our first week of distance learning, and today we're just going to be reviewing systems of equations, and our learning target for this will be to solve the system using the substitution method, which we've already practiced at school, and it should be fairly simple. All right, so we already took some of these notes, but we're going to take them again. What is the substitution method? Well, it is a method of solving systems of equations by substituting equations. I'm just going to abbreviate that. Within one another. All right, so our steps to solve would be step one, solve one equation for X or Y. Step two would be to substitute this expression into the other equation and solve for the variable. Step three, again, is once we've solved for that variable, we're going to substitute that answer and put it into the revised equation from step one and solve for the other variable. And remember, these variables will be X and Y. All right, we're going to practice some problems. And on this first one, we were going to go to step one. It says solve for X and Y. Well, they've already done this for us because if you see, Y equals 4X minus 1, and this one's Y equals 2X minus 5. They've solved for Y for both of us. Now, if we move to the second step, it said substitute this expression into the other equation and solve for the variable. Well, here is, since Y equals 4X minus 1, I can just substitute it right in there for Y, since we know Y equals that. So therefore, we'll have 4X minus 1 equals 2X minus 5. And we're just going to solve for X. I'm going to subtract 2X from both sides. I'm left with 2X minus 1 equals negative 5. I'm going to add my constant in order to get rid of it because it's the inverse of subtracting. I'm left with 2X equals negative 4. I'm going to divide by my coefficient, and I get X equals negative 2. Well, now I know my system is going to cross, my two lines are going to cross at the X value of negative 2. So I'm just going to plug my negative 2 in there. Now we're going to go down to step 3, and we're going to substitute our answer into the revised equation from step 1 and solve for the other variables. So I'm going to just rewrite. I'm going to use that first equation, Y equals 4X minus 1. And since we know X is going to equal negative 2, because it says it right here, we're just going to substitute that in. So we have 4 times negative 2 minus 1. And I'm going to solve. Y equals 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 minus 1. I'm going to simplify that down further, and we get Y equals negative 9. So therefore, my Y value is going to be negative 9. And my answer, where my two lines will intersect, will be the coordinate value of negative 2 comma negative 9. So now we're going to move on to question number 2. In question number 2, again, they've already solved for Y for us because Y equals 6. I'm just going to plug it into this equation, 2x plus 3, and I'm going to substitute the 6x in for the y, since we know y equals 6x. 3 times 6x equals negative 20. I'm going to solve. 2x plus, I'm distributing my 3 to the 6x plus 18x equals negative 20. I'm just going to solve. I'm going to combine like terms, and 2x plus 18x is 20x equals negative 20. I want to isolate that variable, so I'm going to divide by my coefficient, and I will have x equals negative 1. So I know my coordinates already. My x value is going to be negative 1. And then I'm going to have to go to step 3, where it says substitute the answer into the revised equation from step 1 and solve for the other variable. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that first equation, y equals 6x, and I'm going to substitute the negative 1 in. So now I have y equals, because our x value is negative 1, I'm going to simplify that down, y equals negative 6. Therefore, I can put that into my coordinate point. And our system of equations where the two lines will intersect will be at the coordinates negative 1, comma, negative 6. All right, now I'm going to do question number 11 from our packet. And how this one's different is that they did not solve for one of the variables for us. So we are going to do it together. Personally, it doesn't matter which one you choose, and it doesn't matter which variable you choose for, but I'm going to take the first equation, and I'm going to solve for the y value. So I have 3x minus y equals negative 8. Now I want to solve for the y, so I have to, in order to isolate it, I'm going to have to get rid of that 3x by subtracting it, and whatever I do to one side of the equation, I'm going to have to do to the other. So this cancels out, and I'm left with negative y equals a negative 8 minus 3x. We cannot have a negative for our y value, so in order to get rid of that negative sign, I'm going to divide by negative 1, and I'm left with a positive y equals negative 8 divided by negative 1 is a positive 8, and negative 3x divided by negative 1 is a plus 3x. And I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that just because I like having my variables first. So I'm going to rewrite it as y equals 3x plus 8. Okay, now that I have my y value, I'm going to go ahead and substitute it in the second equation. So I'm going to rewrite this. I have 5x plus 2y equals 5. I'm going to substitute my y value in. So I have 5x plus 2 times 3x plus 8 equals 5. I'm going to have to distribute. But before I do that, I'm just going to bring my 5x down. Now I'm going to distribute my 2 to my 3x and my 2 to my plus 8. 2 times 3x is a positive 6x, and 2 times positive 8 is a positive 16 equals 5. Next step in solving equations, I'm going to combine my like terms. I have my 5x and my 6x. I'm going to combine them, and I get 11x. Carry down my 16 equals 5. And I want to get rid of this constant to get my x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 16 since it's the inverse of adding 16. And I'm left with 11x. This cancels out, equals, and 5 minus negative 16 is a negative 11. Now I'm going to have to divide by my 11. And I get x equals a negative 1. So my first coordinate point I know is a negative 1. So where my two lines are going to intersect, we know the x value is going to be negative 1. Well, now that I have this value, I'm going to go back and substitute it in. And I'm going to substitute it in to that original equation, which is right here. So I'm going to do 3x minus y equals negative 8. Substituting my negative 1 in, it's going to be 3 times negative 1 minus y equals negative 8. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 minus y equals negative 8. I'm going to add my 3 because it's the inverse of subtracting 3. And I'm left with negative y equals negative 5. However, I can't have a negative value for my y, so I'm going to divide by negative 1. And y equals 5. So where my two lines are going to intersect, my y value will be 5. The coordinate is negative 1, 5. All right, so what are you going to do next? I just want you to, on that worksheet, pick 2 to 4 questions to complete, as many as it takes for you to feel comfortable, and go ahead and check that answer key to make sure you got the right answer. If you don't, feel free just to email me, and I'll create a video on if you have any specific questions on a particular problem. When you're done with that, then just go into the Google Classroom, and there's a link with a code to a Quizizz, and it's only about a 4-question quiz that you would need to complete, and that will be it for today. I hope you guys are staying healthy, and I miss you guys a lot. Hopefully we will see each other soon.